I never thought my birthday could turn into the most humiliating day of my life, but there I was, staring at the woman I thought I knew, feeling like everything I believed was a lie. My name is Mark. I'm 36 years old, and for the last 10 years I've trusted Jessica with my life, or at least I thought I had. We had our ups and downs, sure, like any couple, but I never imagined that the night meant to celebrate me could become the night that shattered everything. It started out normal. My friends had gathered at my apartment, balloons, drinks, the little traditions we always kept alive. Laughter filled the room, and I genuinely felt the warmth of being surrounded by people who mattered. Jessica had been quiet that night, which was unusual because she loved being the center of attention. I assumed she was just letting me enjoy my day. I poured myself a glass of whiskey, trying to relax, and smiled at everyone who came over. I never saw the storm that was about to hit. The first sign should have been her smile, that slightly forced one, like she was about to deliver a punch instead of a gift. She walked in with a tiny envelope, the kind you hand over when you want to announce something significant, and the entire room fell silent. I laughed nervously, assuming it was some kind of quirky birthday card, maybe a scavenger hunt clue. But no. She cleared her throat, all eyes now on her, and that smile, God, that smile, wasn't joyful. It was calculated, almost taunting. Mark, she said, her voice lighter than usual, I have something to tell you. And I thought today was the perfect day. My chest tightened, a strange instinct warning me that this was not going to be good. She paused for effect, and I could see a few of my friends exchanging curious glances. Then she said it. I'm pregnant. The room erupted in claps, congratulations, and surprised laughter. My friends cheered, and I froze, my mind trying to catch up with the words. Pregnant? Me. My first reaction should have been happiness, hell, even shock. But something about the way she said it, the way she looked at me, triggered every alarm bell I had buried under years of trust and routine. My heart wasn't racing with joy, it was sinking with suspicion. It didn't take long for the realization to hit. The timing, the smirk she couldn't quite hide, the way she avoided my eyes, none of it added up. I remembered the way she had been texting constantly, sneaking out late at night, working late, when she wasn't even supposed to. And now this announcement? Something felt off. I tried to mask my suspicion, clapping along with everyone else, smiling as if my mind wasn't tearing itself apart piece by piece. I had to buy time to let my thoughts settle before I said anything, but the longer I waited, the more the doubt gnawed at me. She noticed, of course. That smirk returned, the one that said she knew exactly what she was doing. Isn't it wonderful? She asked, looking around the room, finally settling her eyes on me. Our little surprise. I forced a nod, trying to control the storm building inside. Yeah, sure, wonderful, I managed to say. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. I excused myself, stepping out onto the balcony, the cool night air hitting me like a slap. My friends' laughter faded behind the glass doors, replaced by the pounding of my own thoughts. Something was wrong. It had to be. My gut screamed it, louder than any logical explanation could drown out. And then I remembered, an encounter I had a few weeks ago, an odd conversation overheard in passing, a flirtation she had quickly dismissed. Small things I had ignored, brushed off as paranoia, now clicked into place like pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to complete. The words that had seemed harmless before now echoed with sinister clarity. I went back inside, my hands shaking slightly, the whiskey doing nothing to calm me. Jessica was still standing there, radiant, proud, expecting me to join her in celebration, expecting me to embrace this miracle she claimed to have created. Everyone looked at me, waiting for my reaction. I swallowed, my throat dry, and then, in the calmest voice I could muster, I said the words that would silence the room and change everything. That's not mine. The room froze. The laughter died. The claps stopped midair. Jessica's smile faltered, her eyes widening just slightly as if she had underestimated me. I could feel the collective shock, the disbelief hanging in the air. My friends looked at me, some horrified, others confused, trying to process what had just happened. Jessica opened her mouth, probably to protest, to claim innocence, to weave some story I hadn't yet anticipated. But I held up a hand, steady and unwavering. I said what I said. That child isn't mine. And I've known for weeks. The silence that followed was deafening. You could almost hear the air tightening, the weight of my words pressing down on everyone in the room. Jessica's face paled, the smirk that had been her shield disappearing entirely. My friends stared, unsure whether to intervene, to speak, to step in. But they said nothing. They knew, as I did, that this was between us now, and the game had changed irrevocably. She tried to laugh, a nervous, forced thing that barely left her throat. Mark, "That's not fair," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "I wanted this to be special." I shook my head, my pulse finally slowing, my anger tempered with cold clarity. "Special? You've spent months deceiving me, sneaking around, building this fantasy, while I had no idea. This was never about celebration. This was about control, about putting me in a position where I had no choice but to play along. But I do have a choice. And I choose the truth." Her face contorted, frustration and fear battling for dominance. I could see it in her eyes. She had miscalculated. She thought she could corner me, manipulate me with a single announcement, and I would fold. But years of patience, of observing patterns, of recognizing deception, had prepared me for this moment. The room was still, charged with tension, the kind of tension that makes everyone aware they're witnessing something monumental. I didn't raise my voice, didn't throw insults, didn't beg for answers. I simply stated the truth and let it sink in. Jessica finally looked away, biting her lip, realizing that the carefully constructed facade had crumbled in one simple sentence. I could see the regret, or maybe it was panic, creeping in, and I knew there was no going back. The night that had been meant to celebrate me had instead unveiled everything I needed to see. And as the clock ticked, as my friends began to murmur softly among themselves, I felt an unexpected clarity. No anger, no rage, just a deep, steady understanding that my life, my boundaries, and my dignity would no longer be compromised by anyone else's lies.